Hi, everyone. My name is Bonnie Rose, and I'm one of your hosts for Our Ventura TV. Today, it's my pleasure to speak with Alicia Doyle. Alicia is an award-winning journalist, but she's also an award-winning boxer. I knew about Alicia's boxing career because I read her book called Fighting Chance. And in this book, she talks all about how she got into boxing, what she learned from it, what the journey was like. And so that's what we're here doing today, is we're learning about Alicia's journey through the sport of boxing. So let me welcome you, Alicia. How are you?
I'm great, Bonnie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, before we get into your personal story, can you tell us a little bit about women in boxing? Because you don't hear about that very often.
Yes. So when I was competing, this was in the 1990s, there were only a few hundred women in America who were boxing competitively. And I was one of them. And I didn't start boxing until I was 28 years old, which is considered old for athletics. So the majority of my opponents were all younger than me, sometimes a decade or more younger. Back then, to give you an idea of where women were in the sport of boxing, women were not allowed to box in the Olympic Games when I was competing.
Wow.
We were prohibited. That was made possible in 2012. That's when women were granted the honor of competing in women's Olympic boxing. So that wasn't that long ago, and I believe myself and all the amazing competitors and all the women that I fought with helped pave the way for girls to enter the Olympic sport of boxing today.
Wonderful. Thank you. And what personally inspired you to start boxing?
That's the million-dollar question. I was working as a journalist one night, and I was alone in the newsroom, and I got a call from a community activist who wanted me to do a story on a boxing gym for at-risk youth that was destroyed by El Nino rains. And at first, I didn't want to do the story. I used to view the sport as the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand the beauty and depth of boxing and what it would do for me spiritually, and that would literally become my salvation. So I ended up doing one story on the gym. It's called Kid Loves Boxing. And once I met these gentlemen and these coaches, I realized just how special these people were. Very spiritual people these coaches were. And I fell in love with it that way. But even more than that, I discovered how it changed the sport of boxing, how it changed children, at-risk youth from the inside out. It gave them confidence. It gave them self-esteem. It made them strong enough from the inside out to handle what they're handling, as children. The sport made them better people.
Wow. That's wonderful. And so you were covering it as a journalist, but what made you actually, put on a pair of gloves and get in the ring?
So I was reporting on that gym for about a year, but I never put on a pair of gloves. And the owner of the gym, Robert Ortiz, had always encouraged me to take a boxing class. And I said, I don't want to get hit. Boxing is violent. It's a dark side. I don't want to get involved. But he said, you don't understand this. You don't have to get hit. And this is before I entered the competitive realm. He said, it's just a great workout and you'll feel better. So what got me into the gym that day was I had a really bad breakup, like a lot of people do. Yeah. And this boy, he punched me in the face more than once with a closed fist. And needless to say, that made me really angry. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I certainly didn't want to tell anyone. And all I knew was that I wanted to hit something as hard as I could over and over again. And I remember Robert saying to take an aerobic boxing class. And it's just hitting the heavy bag for an hour to music. So I went in there. I was upset from the night before. I put on those gloves and I participated in that class for an hour. And all I knew was for that hour, I felt better. Mm-hmm. Because the workout was so difficult. Quite frankly, I had no room in my head for anything else. All that darkness, all that pain, all that anger, it was gone for that hour. So it was a respite from my own pain, from what was in my head. So I kept going back more and more and more because that hour made me feel better. And then the next thing you knew, I was taking 3 classes a day back to back. I was pretty angry. I had a lot to work through, but that was prior to me going into the sport as a competitor.
Wow. Well, it sounds like that's what you loved about boxing. What was difficult about it for you?
The difficulty, surprisingly enough, was not stepping into battle. Yeah, those fights were hard, and I am a 2-time Golden Gloves champion, and I earned both those titles. Those were very hard fights. But the hard part was not the battle. It wasn't the fight. It was what was going on inside of me and in my heart and in my mind, and this peeling back of layers of my dark self. And I tried to do the best I could at explaining this in my book, Fighting Chance, just how this sport digs so deep inside of you and peels away these layers. And when I started to peel away the layers, I didn't like what I saw. These were parts of me, the dark pieces of myself I didn't want anybody to know about. I didn't want to remember them, but that sport brought them to the surface. And I realized I had to face them head on. And the only way out was through, just like a fight in the ring.
Wow.
That was the difficult.
Yeah, I'm sure that was really hard, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to look at yourself under a microscope like that and really pick apart and dismantle all the things that I thought were broken.
Yeah.
And put them back together. And the sport of boxing helped me do that.
Wow. It's so kind of ironic or paradoxical or something about how, you look at your brokenness through a sport where you literally are getting whacked in the face, I mean, what was that like? What was that like? Going into a ring, knowing that someone was going to try and hurt you and you were going to try and hurt the other person.
Oh, that was, the adrenaline rush, of course. I was terrified. I was the kind of a boxer, a fighter that I was terrified before every fight. Not all boxers feel that way. I did, but I had a really good poker face, and I used that in my favor. I was also older than all my opponents, so I had what they call ring maturity. So I was really good at hiding my fear, but I was terrified. I knew these girls were younger than me. So I adjusted my training so that I could outlast them. So I had a very specific strategy fighting these younger girls. But I knew that once I stepped in there that I was all on my own. And that's a special thing about this sport. We don't walk in there with a team. When we lose in front of the world by ourselves. When we win by ourselves. But you walk in there alone. And one of my coaches described it perfectly. He said, boxing is like being naked in front of the world.
Oh, wow. That sounds
so
really
back
hard.
to getting hit.
Yeah.
So getting hit, of course, it hurts, but I believe humans have a very high tolerance for pain. And getting hit in the face doesn't hurt any more than getting hit in the arm or the stomach or anywhere else. It hurts. But that was where the mental part came in. I knew that, okay, I got hurt. I got hit. It hurts, but I'm not damaged. I'm okay. I was able to discern that very quickly. Okay, I didn't get broken. I can keep going. But this is a very split-second decision where you really don't have time to think about that. If you think about it, you're done.
Yeah.
You're hit and you're out.
Yeah. Well, that's a beautiful metaphor for life too. It's like this, this didn't kill me. Let it make me stronger,
Yeah.
Yeah. We just have a few minutes left. So one more quick thing. Are you still volunteering at Kid Gloves Gym?
Yes, I'm a volunteer coach, ages 4 to 14. They're marvelous children, and I love it. It's one of the greatest joys of my life.
That's so
my
wonderful.
way to give back.
So wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. So before we head out, Alicia, can you tell us if people want more information about you or boxing, what is your website? Oh,
it's very easy. It's AliciaDoyle.com. I welcome people to take a look at it, and I love communication. If people want to contact me or they have questions, I love that part of it. So please feel free to go to AliciaDoyle.com. You can email me through there, and all the information is there.
That's so great. Alicia, thank you so much. That's all the time we have today, but I so appreciate you coming and sharing so openly with us. Again, I'm Bonnie Rose with Our Ventura TV, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.